Hello, everyone. Wow, thank you very much, Violel-Pekka, for all this information. It's a lot of information to process. It's a lot of money also. I know that you are a lot of startups in here. You are more than 250 startups getting benefit from different programs from the European Business and Innovation Center. So I wanted to thank you to welcome us here, and also from Esploro to organize this event. So what is important in this session, and what we are going to do, is to basically showcasing how EIC program can give you direct support, because there can be many paths that can drive you to it, and the journey can be very overwhelming. And we will try to guide you step by step, but to set up a bit some bases, you have to know that this EIC is the major instrument for disruptive innovation, with over 10 billion euros dedicated to support to the full cycle, so from the idea to the market. And we know that in Europe we have a lot of ideas, but we have a lot of difficulties to take it to the market. And you have to know also that the EIC and the previous program within the Horizon 2020 accelerated more than 2,000 startups and SME in Europe. So my name is Marjorie Grassler. I'm a EU project manager at the Mobile World Capital Barcelona. Maybe you know the foundation as the co-organization of the Mobile World Congress, but we also have been selected by the EIC to be their venture building arm, aiming at the creation of startup and spin-off to uptake research results from EIC Pathfinder and EIC Transition. To talk today, we had the pleasure to have Violel-Pekka, and now we will have also Angele Giuliano, if you want to come with me. She's a Maltese entrepreneur in areas where tech intersect with health and education, with her company Across Limits. She has been recently appointed as an EIC Ambassador, and she will give us some tips and tricks, and more importantly, ideas of experience from beneficiaries. We also have today Luis Guerra. He's a Spanish National Contact Point at the CDTI and the National Delegate for the EIC program. About that. So I will start with my first question that is related to what Viorel was saying before, and I will address it to Angele. It is important to know that these EIC programs are not for everyone. So this is something that Viorel was insisting a lot. You have to really think carefully if your application can be successful. And I think that Angele, as an EIC ambassador, that she's going around Europe to advocate for startup to apply to this program, maybe can explain us the experience of beneficiaries of the EIC schemes, and therefore thinking if the startup should consider this journey.
Yeah. So hello everybody. Good morning. Indeed, my name is Angele, and I come from Malta. And yeah, indeed, my role as an EIC ambassador is to go around the most obscure places in Europe, and I'm not saying this is obscure here, but I've been in worse places, and really try to find the diamond in the rough. Because why did the EIC start? Let's just roll back a second, okay? Because I think Viorel jumped so quickly into it that he barely had time for you to digest your coffee and think, you know, what on earth is the EIC? So the European Innovation Council basically was formed at a point when we saw that Europe was missing the boat. Okay, we were losing our best ideas to the United States, and we had the Chinese monster coming up as well from the other side. But we still know that the best research and the best researchers are still born in Europe. But do they stay in Europe, is the question. Now, of course, all the countries, and here, I'm sorry, I'm going to use Spain as an example, of course, all the countries do their best to use their national funding schemes to make sure that people stay in their country. But there had not been like a concerted effort for people to stay in Europe and actually grow here, scale up here, get more, not just jobs, of course, which all politicians love, but everybody does. So, but get more funding here. Why do we have to go to the United States to raise finance? Can't we raise it here? And this is why sort of the EIC was born. And they did something, in a way, very controversial, because they are kind of the only agency which actually participates also by equity, not as grants, which was really unheard of. And, I've been there since time immemorial, since 2018, when we started like the first pilot. And everybody was telling us, you're mad. But by now, I think we're going on the right spot. So who is our target group, therefore? I come back to this question. Thank you. So the target group are really those European companies who can scale up on the global level, but from Europe, in Europe, okay? And we are giving them that little extra push, that little extra money to bridge what we call the valley of death. Because what happens? There is the research, it happens, there is proof of concept, you get some EU money, you might get a little cascade fund, you might get a big horizon, and then normally you just go and apply for the next project, which is really not what we want. We want the companies to keep at it, to keep improving that product and make it bigger, greater, better, sell it, export it, So this is really it. So first and foremost, ask yourself, do I have the ambition to become a European unicorn? This is really who I need to be if I want to go to the EIC. And I think I'll stop there and then leave a bit of space for later.
Thank you, Angela. I think that there is some stakeholders that for sure if you are in the startup ecosystem, the National Contact Point. The network of the National Contact Point is the main structure to provide guidance, practical information, and assistance. And it's true, Luis Guerra, that maybe you can help us to understand how you are helping those SMEs and startups in their application process.
So thank you, thank you for the invitation, because I think policy looks nice, but now we have to land it in the reality, You are the reality in Europe, and then we need to take account that these big ideas of the EIC become real, first become feasible, then become real. And we are still in that process. I mean, as Angele said, it was the first time that the Commission aimed to enter into the equity part of the company. I don't know if you know the Commission inside. It's a huge monster. So it is difficult to do that at national level. So imagine at Commission level. So it's been a bit of a complex, of a challenge, let's call it that way, politically nice. They enter into this process. This process cannot be filled in one morning, I assure you. It has 4 steps: short step, full proposal, an interview. So it takes a lot of preparation and, let's say, effort from your side. In many cases, you will not be able to do it alone. So, I mean, it's a real strategic, let's say, decision from your company. So why are we NCPs here? What is our role? Our first role is to say you are honest no. You are not ready. Obviously, you are free to do whatever you want. I mean, we cannot avoid you to go there. But we have seen a lot of companies every year. We see more or less around 200, 300 companies a year going to the accelerator. So we can have some, let's say, free and honest comment to you, say yes or no. So probably, obviously, again, you can do whatever you want with that information, but this is our first role. Then if you say yes, then we are a free service and we help you through the process. Obviously, depending as you go further to the process, our support also increases. We have some services of revising your proposal when you are making the preparation. We have services of talking with you to have some pitches. And when you are invited to the interview, we have a, let's say, paid service by ourselves with external experts, with investors, with people from business, where you can test your pitch in front of them before going to Brussels. I mean, our process go, let's say, more stronger with you in that process. But I will insist that the first thing is, okay, have a seat with you. Let's have a talk on what you are trying to do. What do you want for the EIC? If you see the numbers, you are talking about 2.5 million in grant and up to 15 million in equity. That's not 50K, okay? That's a little, I need quite an effort. And I will finalize this first point saying, okay, just give you some hints. Let's change what is an eligible proposal, which is what is written there, to what is a competitive proposal one we have seen. First, if you would like to be competitive here, you would be at least 5, 10 people in the company already. If you have with less people, your chances will fail. Second, in most of the cases, there is already a private investor already in the company with around 1 million, 2 million, more or less this money, okay? It's not only, let's say, the business angels, but these private people already in the company, because this instrument will give you the next round. I would say the Series A like, okay? So that is important. And the third one is about the deep tech. I mean, everything is technology, innovation is wide, but they are looking for deep tech. And deep tech typically means emerging markets, not mature markets, and these kind of things. So I think these three elements will give you quite more, let's say, quite more chances to be successful than the typical success rate of this cutoff, which is around 4 or 5% from the from the full proposal. So that's, let's say, our starting point.
Yes, and building on this this answer, I think that it's important to discuss a bit the typical journey of a SME or a startup through this program. Is there any non-written trade-off among successful company in these programs worth to share with the audience right now?
Okay, well, what's important, and here I really support what Luis said, is yes, you need to start small, be humble, okay, and do not think that you are better than you are. At the same time, you need to be ambitious, okay? And this is why I really liked what we were talking before in the cascade funding part. Because I think that is a very good training, that is a very good initial support. One, it gets you to understand how EU projects work, not exactly, because they're really simpler. And here, I'm really happy that they have become so simple, the cascade funds, compared to other. But if even that to you is challenging, well, that like multiply by 10 will be something like the EIC accelerator, okay? So really work it bit by bit. But then many of these that are here and that we heard upstairs, they are sort of very good first steps. So of course, here I'm going to mention Women Tech EU because, you know, women are always, well, it is part of who I am, of course, as you can see. But we are also the least funded people in Europe. Only 2% of VC funding goes to women-led companies in deep tech. And this was the reason why we built a project like Women Tech EU, which is a continuation of a scheme that the European Commission had, but we're making it bigger, better, smarter, funnier. And the whole idea is that, yes, so you start small, then you start using the services. Someone in the previous panel said, and I agree with them, yes, the money is important, but the services are even better. Because that gives you that added push, that added information that then will prepare you to level up, okay? If you see this as a game, to level up to the level of EIC. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Luis, if you could maybe complement with some examples also.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to understand, I mean, we are talking about the EIC in general, but basically for companies, Pathfinder is, let's say, blue science, let's call it that way, TRL very, very low. So obviously you can participate in it, but that there is a, let's say, consortium-based project, more typical to the normal Horizon Europe. So we move off basically to the EIC accelerator. You need to approach it like a private funding approach. I mean, it's not a grant funding itself. Obviously, there is a grant part, which is important. But basically, you are talking like you are aiming to be talked as a private investor. So you have to approach things and business and the proposal itself as a private investor. I mean, in fact, the proposal is not complex in the sense that he has many things which are not out of, let's say, out of your comfort zone, because it's basically a business plan and you are probably quite aware of how to make a good business plan, because you know your market, you know your business, you know your people, you know your financials. I mean, that's the kind of things that are requested in this program. But basically, it's important that you approach it from an equity-based perspective. I mean, you are talking to private investors, and the EIC jury members at the end of the day are looking at you as a private investor. How interesting are you from me to put in getting part of your company? So that is basically probably the main change of mind from the very beginning when you are trying to go on that direction. Why? That is one of the main elements I commented you before. Most of the winners already have some private funds on board. So they have already, let's say, inherited this way of dealing with private investors, and they already have some proof in the market that this technology is more or less good. They have suffered the typical due diligence from the private investors. So, I mean, they are already on that path of explanation and on how to, let's say, count their history, because at the end of the day, there is a competitive call, which is good or which is bad. You can imagine if you are in a jury member and you have to see around 20 companies a week, and you have money for 3 or 4. So think yourself which are the criteria you may use to assign that money. Okay, that's probably the most important thing you need to think about that. I mean, TRL is quite obvious because you have to be somewhere close to the market. But for me, the critical point is this equity-based mindset, because this is what the Commission is changing between the past. And this, as Angele commented before, this EIC fund is at the end of the day giving a lot of part of this money. We have commented at the very beginning that there is a 10,000 billion for this program in Horizon Europe, yes, but be aware that more than half is on equity basis. So really, that's a good sign of how the program is structured and what is expected for you as proposers.
So imagine now that you cross all the barriers, you have been selected, you are receiving tailored support from top-level experts in all over Europe, you are boosting your visibility, you are validating your business model, and you are ready to really create new markets or disrupt existing ones. But what next?
Well, what next is do it over and over and over again, cyclically, until you grow and you become first a centaur, okay, so that's a company with a valuation of 100 million, and then hopefully the elusive, mythical unicorn. But the good thing is that the European Union offers a lot of services to actually help you on your journey. So Viorel has mentioned a few of them very briefly. The Tech to Market, the EIC offers. But here, I mean, I also have to say, even at a national level, I have seen some countries really do wonderful to help the ones that are like born in their country, even though we prefer that they say made in Europe, not made in Spain. But they still help them and they still offer support. The good thing that we haven't mentioned is, and this I want to again, because I like people to understand why. Why have they started to do this equity funding, okay? In order to crowd in other private investors. So in the EIC, normally we say that for every €1 that the EIC invests, roughly 3 other euros get invested into that same company, which means that we have a great multiplier effect. So this whole, I was going to say, but I'll come back to that word later. I was going to say seal of excellence, but that's bad. So this whole like badge that you've become an EIC, winner, will actually help you so much, even with the investors. And even though the EIC will not lead the round, but the EIC will crowd in, will actually call people up, call other VCs. They have a special, they have a special area where they actually promote deals, okay? So it really also helps you. So if you're thinking even just to do the private route, one should consider the EIC, because that can actually multiply much more the private investment route. Now, a small bracket on the Seal of Excellence, but maybe here you want to continue on it. For those that make it to the jury level, okay, so the phases are, you first do a phase 1 proposal, which is relatively easy. Then you do a very long business plan if you pass that level. And then if you pass that second level, you come to people like me in the jury and you pitch to us. And then it's like, Nero, yes or no. It's very easy. And there's 6 of us normally, and you need to get at least, 4 yeses. So if you'd make it to jury level, but you don't get the funding, so you really kind of fail only at the last level, you might get something called the Seal of Excellence, which although it's like being the runner-up in a beauty pageant, not great, but better than nothing. Basically, you might then go to some friendly national entities that could offer you additional support, or also private investors. We've also had some private investors that rather than go to the hassle of doing their own due diligence, they tell us, given that these poor companies have gone the whole hog almost with you, and they've arrived here and you gave them the Seal of Excellence, then this will speed up their normal due diligence for private investment. So that's again a good thing.
Maybe if you can quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I will try to accommodate this to the reality, because I think that's a very good idea. But what we have seen from experience is, yes, the Commission helps you to get the round, but it is not. I could say the multiplier effect goes in the direction. So if you bring in €3, I will put you 1, which is a bit critical at some point, especially for the companies. And it's a bit of a tricky situation, because obviously you may need to have some lead investor already with talks, which is nice, which has to be advanced. And obviously this final push of the grant will help you a lot. I think it's really important, the role of the Seal of Excellence. In fact, the key point is that the Seal of Excellence has been let's say a chocolate medal for many years, basically because it was launched at I think it was 2016, if I'm not wrong. But without the legal framework to implement it at national level. So, as you know, you are here cascade funding managers, you know how regulation works. If you think that there is a regulation called national state rules that everyone who is managing public money has to follow, we need to adapt this regulation to allow the SME to be implemented, the Seal of Excellence to be implemented. Fortunately, we did it in the past, it was possible, and we probably can say that CDTI launched 2 calls for CDT for Seal of Excellence in 21 and 22, 50 million euros total. So it was a nice way to take, let's say, value out of the people that went there. But yes, if coming back to the original question and just to clarify, if you get funded with the EIC, what do you have to do? First, you have to do what you promise. And this is not always nice in many cases, because you have to 24 months, you promise to do a lot of things with a limited budget, well, not a limited budget, but with a budget, so you have to do it. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I think you are playing with the EU flag. That's a good advantage of all the services that offer the Commission. You can go to all these fairs under the EU flag, so you are a kind of selection. Now we come into the EuroCup, so you are nominated to be a selection of Europe across the different sectors, and I think that's a really good added value for that. So I think I'm closing here. So if you have some questions.
Thank you for the wrap up, actually, Luis Guerra, and thank you very much, Angele Giuliano. You know now how to apply to the EIC program, a lot of preparation, and of course talking to these wonderful people. Thank you very much.